Hey YouTube, today we're going to do an oil change on this car right here. It's a 2012 Sonata. We'll go over some of the safety procedures and the general procedure that I use when doing an oil change. Yes, this procedure will work on just about any car that has a spin-on oil filter. Now, I do not do video editing, so this is going to be a little bit like one of those cooking shows where, everything just kind of comes together. But first, let's go over the tools that we're going to need for the job. Now, first thing is gloves. This is going to be a messy job, so you're going to go through a couple of pair. And yes, you're already trying to save money, so I reuse the gloves. Look, this isn't a condom, okay? You can do it. It's all right. Next, as a safety precaution, take off any jewelry that you might be wearing. Set it to the side. If you wear a watch, take it off. If you're underneath the car and that touches a ground or electrical wire, you'll know it. We're going to use a box end wrench. You might have to use a socket, but I use a box end to get the drain plug out. On that Sonata, it's a 17 millimeter. You may need an oil filter wrench. Now, if this was done correctly, you will not need this. It should only be hand tight, but sometimes people take it to these quick lube places and they like to crank it down. So I always like to have one on hand. You need a funnel to pour the oil. You may need a flashlight if you don't have a drop light. You'll need some Permatex number 2. Now, the main thing here is, I don't know if you can see that, it is non-hardening. This is just a little bit of insurance that I like to use when I put the drain plug back on. I put some of that around the threads there. You'll need a roll of paper towels, oil of your choice. You'll need an oil filter, and either a cup of coffee if you're a morning person, or a cold beer. It's early in the morning. I'm going to go with coffee. I've estimated this at a 1 cup job. And let's see where we're at here. Just over 120. I bet that's perfect. Alright. Now, next thing you're going to need is a jack and a jack stand. Now the procedure here is you're going to jack the car up with the jack, put the jack stand underneath it, lower the jack so that the weight's on the jack stand, raise the jack just to where it's touching the rail, and then put the handle in the upright position. You don't want it in the down position, you might trip on it. Come over to the car and take the filler cap off. You basically don't want to create a vacuum when you're draining the oil. Now then, you're going to want to get underneath there and remove the plug. So Hyundai did everybody a favor, and they put that drain plug way right there. So you'll have to jack it up and get your oil pan here. That's an old shoe container from a container store. And you'll use that to drain the oil out of there. Next, while that's draining, forgot the light, you're going to remove the oil filter. Now, Hyundai has this flashing here to improve gas mileage, but look what it also does. It makes it a little bit of a mess. So what I do is I put some paper towels in there, and then reach my hand up in there and spin that oil filter off. When you take that off, spin it real slow, and then as soon as you just crack it, oil drip out, let that drain, and then remove it the rest of the way. Once you've done that, it's time to, oh wow, okay. It's time to go ahead and have a little sip of coffee. All right, now, you've got that draining. You're gonna come over here, you're gonna put your former gasket on your threads of your drain plug. And then, I'm gonna show you something that nobody else is gonna do. Now, you've already purchased, this is a extended life filter. I use the extended life filters because they say you can get, I don't know, 10,000 miles out of it. If you go 5,000, hey, you're doing pretty good. And since this is a GDI engine, a gas direct injection, it actually uses a little bit of oil. So I'm constantly adding oil. So I feel like I can go a longer interval because it has fresh oil in there. Anyhow, what nobody else is going to do is pre-fill their oil filter. So, take my oil, take my funnel. We don't need that. And real carefully, you're just going to pre-fill that. Now, why are we pre-filling that? The logic here is that when you start that motor for the first time, you don't want any hesitation between when it starts lubricating. You know, if there could be a few seconds while it fills up the filter. You know, it's probably not going to matter. If you forget, don't worry about it. Take your finger and rub a little oil around this ring. You must lubricate this ring. If you don't, you will have to get that oil wrench when it comes time to get the filter off. Now, I've seen filters on there so hard that you couldn't get it off with a wrench. Sometimes you have to get something like a screwdriver, jab it through there, and use, you know, really drill it through there. Drill a hole and then crank it like this. I mean, that's when these things get really tight on there. But we didn't have that problem. Alright, now let's try and get this filter installed. So, what we're going to do, get back underneath our car. And really, there's no good shot here. Let me see if I can. There we go. So, it's pretty easy. That's why they call it a spin-on. And as soon as I said it was easy. There we go. Take your rags out if you used them. And now you want to crank it down with your hand. Just hand tight. That's it. Next, you'll put your plug in. You want to make sure you have enough oil. So before you even begin this job, you're going to look in the user's guide, find out how much oil the crankcase takes with the filter. This car takes 4.85 quarts, and yeah, that way you haven't drained all the oil out and then don't have enough oil. So most cars take under 5 quarts. You put your plug in, put your funnel in, fill it up. When you start getting near the capacity, you'll come in here and you'll check it just to make sure. You don't want to overfill it. But that's it. Then once you tighten tighten everything up, let your jack out, go for a test drive and see if you have any leaks. So hopefully you got through in 1 cup of coffee, and enjoy your day.